Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema. Big stream versus big screen. That is the big question that we try and answer for you on this show. Should you stay at home, sitting on your sofa, watching things on various streaming platforms, or should you get up, go to the cinema, and watch things on the big screen? Where will your money be better spent this week? This week we have Anne Hathaway for the second week running in cinemas, and that might be all that we have, but I will find out as we go along. My name is Tosin, I am your host, and I am based up in a place called Bromsgrove in the middle of the United Kingdom. And joining me is just one person this week, and that is Holly. Holly Neslin, a London correspondent, calling all the way from beside the G-Tech Stadium in Brentford.
Correct. Hello.
How are you doing?
Very well. Yourself?
You're doing good, doing good. So this is going to be a quick fire, almost sort of like a moose bouche of a show because Sean and Sharon aren't here because I have to leave in about half an hour. You have to leave in about half an hour. They're both working late at work, and we just thought, I was like, let's just get on there. Let's just get on there. Let me try and do this whole content creation, never ending thing. I just put something out there, whether it's good or bad, God knows. So let's kick off quickly and just say what it is that have you seen in the cinema this week?
I have seen The Devil Wears Prada too. What have you seen in the cinema this week?
I have seen The Devil Wears Prada 2 because this is one of those weeks where there seems to be nothing else but The Devil Wears Prada 2 new in cinemas. At least vaguely speaking on a mainstream kind of like thing. There might be something smaller in some smaller cinemas somewhere, but generally speaking, if you're going to go to your average Odeon or something like that that isn't in a place like London or some university town, you are probably getting The Devil Wears Prada 2. And so we thought, okay, fine, we will go with The Devil Wears Prada 2. But usually we always bring up something that we've seen at home to come up against whatever we've seen in cinemas. So we have to bring one thing to this week, one thing. So what have you seen at home this week?
I have finished off Impossible Women.
Imperfect Women.
Imperfect Women, thank you. I always call it impossible for unknown reasons.
I was like, is that some inbuilt misogyny going on?
Possibly, yes. Possibly just like a very poor memory.
Impossible Women! Oh, for goodness sake.
My memory, impossible.
It's like no, I can't deal with that whatsoever. This Impossible Women. All right, so Imperfect Women on Apple TV, and I have seen the first season of Doc. I've actually seen quite a few things. I've seen the first season of Doc on Now TV. I've seen was it the fourth or the third season of Shrinking on Apple TV. Which is quite it's quite good. And there was something else I saw that I finished watching recently, and I was like, oh yeah, this will be good. But anyway, as I said, I think you would quite like Doc. So because Imperfect Women has just finished, so let us go with Imperfect Women. Let's go with Imperfect Women. But first of all, let us do The Devil Wears Prada 2 and kick off with this.
Yes.
So, The Devil Wears Prada, I mean, it is one of those films that has become so famous that even if you haven't watched it, you know about it, or at least you know that title, and you know the broad strokes of Meryl Streep playing a very Holly, you're gonna have to come in here and correct the gaps in my knowledge. But I would say a very thinly veiled portrayal of Anna Wintour. So there is she plays a character called Miranda Priestly, who is this magazine editor, and it's this magazine called Runway, which is very, very it's modeled on Vogue. It's essentially Vogue. It's a high class magazine. She has a lot of power in the sort of in the fashion world and all that. And in the first one, you had Anne Hathaway. He came in as Andy Sachs, somebody who didn't know much about fashion, wanted to be a journalist. And it was one of those things of, oh, guess what? By the end of the film, we kind of grudgingly respect each other in different worlds, even though we go our different ways. And so in this sequel, it has gone on about 20 years. I think essentially real time has passed. So the amount of time in the real world is what has passed in the film world. By this time, Andy has left Runway years ago. She has become a respected award-winning journalist. Miranda Priestly is still ruling the roost as the head of Runway. You have a character played by Emily Blunt called Emily, who was kind of like an assistant and has now left and is now working for Christian Dior. You still have Stanley Tucci playing, can't remember his name. Henry? What was his name?
Can't remember.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but he's like Miranda Priestley's right-hand man. But I think this film tries to be a little bit more, it tries to grapple with some real-life issues. The idea is that it kicks off when the magazine Runway ends up in trouble because they have printed a glowing review about a fashion brand that uses a sweatshop. And because of that, they have a lot of heat on them. There's cancel cultures in full flow. And the owner of Runway magazine decides, oh, we need to do something to mitigate this risk. We need to and so what they do is that Andy Sachs, which is the Anne Hathaway character, she's just gotten fired because nobody cares about journalism anymore. She does this rant that goes a little bit viral about how nobody cares about journalism anymore. And they go, if we hire her, she is immediate kudos that would help us deal with this PR nightmare of this thing that we published. So they hire her. She goes back into the bear pit of working with Miranda Priestly, and then you have like this whole new dynamic that kicks off all again. Or in some ways, kind of the same dynamic. So that's the broad strokes and stories of the film. Now, I actually thought that this film did quite well in doing something like, it didn't just try and retread the first film, even though there's elements of it, like when Andy goes back into Runway, the sort of old dynamics almost immediately start again, of Miranda being high up there and like, I don't even know who you are, I don't know your name or everything like that, and everybody else being like, below her and all that. I thought it did quite well, but I thought that it did very well in just taking these characters, putting them in a new situation and seeing how they would act. What did you think, Holly? Because I know that, and I think Devil Wears Prada is a seminal film for you.
So I didn't watch The Devil Wears Prada until some years afterwards,
Yep.
because I'm often late to the party with things. Except not this time round. And I am inordinately fond of it, and it's one of those films I find you can rewatch. I can rewatch very easily because there's something quite cathartic about it, and the sharpness, the characters are nicely multidimensional, and I very much enjoyed that in this. And
Yeah.
it wasn't trying to recreate the original film, and I really liked that. And I've seen reviews where people have said, the characters aren't the same as they were, and that for me was also really important because it showed how people evolve and
Yes.
are in new circumstances, how
Yes.
times change and how one reacts to it. This Miranda's character is different. She is older, the world has changed, she reacts differently to things.
Yes.
Which I found very enjoyable, while some of it, of course, is still very much, things have changed, but things have stayed the same.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, the costumes were fabulous, as you would expect.
As you would expect, yes.
I would not want to wear any of them myself, or the vast majority, but that's fine because I can't afford to either way. So my opinion on that is irrelevant. But I thought it was great fun, and I'm actually going to see it again this evening with a different friend because it's quite cathartic and it's very nice cinema, and they will bring you a burger to your seat.
Oh, Everyman.
Yes.
Okay,
They do a
cool.
very nice Californian burger that's made of prawn. I
Made of
highly
prawn.
recommend.
All
Yeah,
right, okay, cool.
I know. Unexpected.
if-
So here we review not just films, but also the food available when you watch them.
Well, if I ever get a windfall, maybe I'll go back to an Everyman. But
This was with a Times Plus discount, I believe.
oh, okay, cool, I see. Yes, no, I think I agree with you on that. I think the fact that they point to the fact that time has passed and that these characters have passed and that there've been 20 years. There's been 20 years of learning and of changing. And Miranda, well, I like what they did with Miranda, where they added some things to her without totally removing everything.
Yeah.
Like there's some scenes where she shows a bit more emotion than she did beforehand, and I think I was like, actually, that actually works quite well because she has to deal with the whole thing of, am I too old for this? Am I too old for this? Am I is the fashion world moving on and leaving me behind? There's a lot of stuff about it. It's about whether she's going to stay the editor of Run, whether she's going to go on, and I thought that was actually quite good. I thought it was quite well handled. I think that it is one thing. This film is incredibly star-studded, but the stars that are studded in this film, I mean, they might be in it for a blink and you'll miss it. There's at the end, they have this whole list of people there as themselves, and they have all these people who play themselves in the film, and it's kind of like it starts with Donatella Versace and all that in the fashion world. And I was reading through it, and there were some names and some pretty big names in the fashion world that I looked at and I was like, I don't remember seeing her. because it was so blink and you miss it. And it's like you have even things like Rory McIlroy and Erica McElroy, they're in the film, and it's just and I think it tells you about how big or what regard the first film is held in. the number of people who show up to be in this film. I mean, there are some people who it's kind of like there's a bit where they talk about a musical guest and they don't tell you who the musical guest is. But I was kind of like, I think most people are going to know who this musical guest is. I mean, I'm not going to say it here, but I mean, if you look at the charts, there's a current song going around that is from the soundtrack of this film, and that kind of tells you who the musical guest is. But but I was like, it's going to be one of two people. It's one of two people that I can think of who would be a musical guest of the fashion show. And one thing I would like to say though is it's written by a lady called Aileen Brosh McKenna, who I think wrote the first one as well. And she wrote a TV show. She co-created a TV show along with Rachel Bloom called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And have you ever seen Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
No.
Holly, I think you'd love it. I honestly think you would love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I mean, part of it is like it's an ode to musicals. It's an ode, and it's probably one of the most, from what I understand, it's one of the most responsible shows when talking about mental health. So imagine somebody going through like, you know, how you deal with someone who has mental health issues and everything like that, but in a musical, and there's a new song in every episode, and they are brilliant. Like one of my highlight songs is called Let's Generalize About Men. And it's, yeah, but Aileen Brosh McKenna, and when I saw her name pop up at the beginning of this film, I was like, well, two things. I was like, okay, cool, I think we're in good hands. And number two, I am totally expecting Rachel Bloom to show up in this film. And Rachel Bloom does show up in this film. I was like, yep, I can see the connections there. So I all in all, I think that this is it is a crowd-pleasing, definite, middle-of-the-road, 3-star movie that I feel like you can watch it and you can just go, yeah, this is good, this is great. And you can, as you can say, let it just wash over you without expecting to change the world or change their views or anything, or say anything mega. I think it focuses first and foremost on being a popcorn movie with a little bit of something to say, as opposed to, let's change the world. And no, it's a popcorn movie. It's about people looking great in what they wear and all that kind of stuff. Even like, even the Anne Hathaway character is supposed to be a serious journalist, but I feel like there's a lot that was written that wasn't put in the film because it just has that feel to me, because I'm like, I feel like she would have had a little bit more about, well, I'm supposed to be a serious journalist. Shouldn't just be worrying about wearing Balenciaga now and everything like that. But she sort of slips quite similarly to that. I think the supporting characters, Simone Ashley, love her.
Yes.
Yeah, Simone Ashley, love her. And there's the lady who I need to find out who plays Anne Hathaway's assistant, who I thought was a great new addition. Was a great new addition to the cast. She plays a character called Jin. And I was like, ooh, who's she? Need to go find out. So, and yeah, all in all, quite happy. They do the obligatory love story, and as I said, they have big name actors in this film, and you're wondering why they're here. For instance, there's Kenneth Branagh, and Kenneth Branagh was in this film, but it's kind of like in Bad Boys: Ride or Die. The second you see Ewan Griffith, you're like, well, that's the bad guy. and the second I saw Kenneth Branagh, I was like, oh. Okay, I'm expecting a third act revelation in which he turns out to be nefariously pulling strings or something like that. And I'll leave it up to you. Okay, I wouldn't say whether it does or it doesn't, but like, let me just say that there's a lot of well-known actors in this film who are just there for the fun. They're just there for the laughs. They're there to look good in suits and driving limos. That seems to be about it. But anyway, enough of me talking. How many stars would you give it?
I'm going to go 4 because it brought me such happiness. It's not what you say. It's not going to change the world. Doesn't need to change the world. It's just fine as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the world isn't, but we'll go with that. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It made me happy.
All right.
And
cool. So
things that make one happy are good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think this film will make a lot of people happy. It will make a lot of people happy. And okay, so that's a 3.5 for Devil Wears Prada 2. Would you say watch this in cinemas or wait for it to come up on a streaming platform near you?
I'd watch it in the cinema just because it's a fun experience to share it with other people. You don't have to; it'll be great at home, but it's a lovely popcorn movie. And popcorn movies kind of need to be watched with popcorn or very nice burgers.
Yeah, or other people. I think watching with other people who, especially if you watch this, it's like I remember watching Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. in a packed cinema where I was one of two men. And I was watching with people who love the theme that you're watching is actually quite a great thing. So I think if you go watch it with a packed cinema with a whole bunch of people who love the first Devil Wears Prada, I think that would be good. And they will, and all the would clue you in on things you've forgotten about the first film. Like for instance, there's a character played by Tracy Thoms who shows up, and I don't remember her from the first film, but she's treated like somebody that we should all know who she is.
I do, but that's only because I've watched it again recently. Otherwise, I'd have noticed.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember you, but okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go with it. Oh, and also one thing I have to say before we go on to talk about the second thing is Sean. Sean has a list of actors who he does not like. Stanley Tucci is high on that list of actors who he just doesn't like seeing them on screen, and I was watching this, and as I was watching this, I was like, oh my god, is Sean getting to me? There's something about the way Stanley Tucci is in this film that I am not vibing with. Mostly the way he was talking. I was looking and going like, he is talking like he doesn't want to open his mouth, or he can't really be bothered to open his mouth, and he's going to keep his mouth as shut as possible while he's talking. But then I decided to go do some research because I was like, okay, I think I heard something about him having health issues a while back. Found out that he had throat cancer. And I'm not sure but you've watched the other one recently. Is he talking differently?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Because the way he was talking, there was something about it. There was something about the modulation of his voice in this that was just kind of like, I was like, there has to be a reason for that. If not, that's just going to be annoying. That really just is going to get to me.
No, I get it. It's like me and Timothée Chalamet's face. It just really irritates me. Can't explain.
Yeah, I can get that. Unfortunately, Timothée Chalamet does not have the excuse of him being ill, and that's why his face looks like that.
No, it's just his face. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfectly reasonable face. It just annoys me.
Yeah.
I have no moral high ground here. I'm sure my face annoys plenty of people.
Okay, cool. I would leave that. Okay, I'll leave it at that. That's Stanley Tucci. We're glad that he got well, he got better, and everything like that. His voice may have changed, but without knowing that, you might be thinking, why isn't he opening his mouth when he speaks? Because it really did feel like that. But anyway, moving things on, let us go over to the streaming side of things. And this streaming side of things, we are going to talk Imperfect Women. Imperfect Women, which is on Apple TV. And this is something that you watched and has another one of those actors. Man, I'm beginning to think we're getting old and just whinging all the time. But it has one of those actors that I don't seem to get on with that well. And that is Elizabeth Moss. I just think Elizabeth Moss, every time she shows up in something, I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be heavy. This is going to, I'm like, this is going to be heavy. This is, Elizabeth Moss, we're going to be dealing with some hard issues because I don't think Elizabeth Moss can do happy. I genuinely don't think she can do happy. I remember I saw a show on Apple TV called Shining Girls, in which and there's a scene in which she's trying to play happy, and I'm like, I do not believe this for 1 second. You are not happy. You are the sad girl. You're the sad, mopey girl who comes in and tells us that life sucks. So, tell us about Imperfect Women, Holly.
So, Imperfect Women is about 3 university friends who are now all grown up. They are played by Elizabeth Moss, as said, Kerry Washington, and what's her name? Yeah, Kate Mara. Who I always forget the name of, just without fail, and that's not her fault either. It's just one of those things. And they are old friends, and early on in the first episode, Kate Mara's character, Nancy, is murdered. That is not a spoiler. And the
entire premise of the show.
Exactly. And the remainder of the show is unpicking what actually happened. The relationships between the 3 characters who are fundamentally imperfect. Their relationships with their spouses or lack of spouses, children or lack of children, and what has brought everyone to this situation. I can't really say much more about it without going into a huge amount of detail, but Nancy, Kate Mara's character, comes from a poor background where clearly she has had and was a dancer and was clearly a ballet dancer and was clearly things had been tough. Kerry Washington's character, it comes from an incredibly, incredibly rich family. Nancy has married into an incredibly rich family, and Mary is married to a university lecturer and has a much less glamorous life. But they are, they're all very close, and you don't see all of these differences immediately as being sources of conflict, but
Yeah.
they are fundamentally three imperfect women whose friendship is hugely important to them and to how life unfolds. I won't say any more about it, because that would potentially be a spoiler.
This is the kind of show that kicks off, and even from like the premise and everything like that, it's given Big Little Lies vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing is like it's one of those, like the thing that I've come up with is like There Be Secrets. It's one of those There Be Secrets shows, and if you say too much, like there's gonna be, you're gonna give away a secret, and then there's no point to watch the show and all that.
No, there'd be many secrets, many secrets.
Yeah,
and it is a really, really watchable show, and I think I'm going to give it another 4.
All right.
Because it was really, I was engrossed, and it was a weekly episode, which nearly made me lose my mind.
It's funny how they do that now, isn't it?
I'd forgotten how frustrating it was having to wait week on week to be able to see the next part.
That's why I never watch anything like on. I think Apple TV do this. Disney Plus do this.
Yeah.
And I think they are the Disney Plus. I think Now TV does it. Now TV does it as well, where they still go, no, we're gonna go old school. We're gonna have control, and we're gonna give things to you episode week by week. And I don't watch it week by week. I wait until there's like 3 or 4 of them, and then I watch them in a go, because I'm like, I actually prefer the Netflix model where everything is there. I understand the whole thing about building it week by week, and I understand that we shouldn't have instant gratification. I get that, but that is annoying.
And they often do 2 to start with. So you get
Apple TV do that.
Well.
Apple TV do a lot. They do 2 to start with quite often.
So you're then hooked, and then there's no more. So actually, it's a drug.
Yeah, it's a drug, and all we have now is just drug dealers who are deciding different ways of torturing us.
Exactly.
Netflix are like, you're not going to go to bed until 3:00 in the morning. Apple TV are like, you're going to go to bed, but you won't be able to sleep because you'll be wondering and waiting for the next week's episode. So it's
exactly that.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. So with that, you said 4 stars for 4 stars for Imperfect Women. All right. Oh, by the way, have you started watching Margot's Got Money Troubles on Apple TV?
No, I have not.
I think you'd like that too.
Excellent. I will add it to the list.
So add it to the list. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Go watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I think that's now on ITV. But yeah, there's 4 seasons of it. Yeah. Holly, you will love it. And A Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Margot's Got Money Troubles. I've been watching that, and I very, very much enjoy it. And it even has Nicole Kidman in it, playing not a Nicole Kidman role. So,
controversial.
I know. It's kind of like, you're like, is that Nicole Kidman? It's Nicole Kidman, but she's not playing Nicole Kidman. What's going on? What's going on? All right, cool. So I think that's all we have time for this today. That's all time
indeed.
Because Holly has to go eat a very nice burger while watching Devil Wears Prada 2 for the second time. I need to go sit down in a meeting in which I might get annoyed because I'll just be like, I could be talking about films. I could be watching films instead of those. But until next week, please do get in touch with us. Find us on Instagram, Netflix via Cinema Pod. On TikTok, Netflix via Cinema. Facebook, Netflix via Cinema. On YouTube, guess what? Netflix via Cinema. And tell us about what you think about what these things are. Tell us what you think about Devil Wears Prada 2. Are you one of those who are just so happy it's back? And and especially, I would love to know if there's anybody who thinks that I'm being an idiot about Elizabeth Moss, and she can do happy, because I think actors need to know what they're good at, and I think she's just decided that she doesn't do happy. I hope she does in her real life, but not on screen. Until that time, it's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us.